Howdy-ho, Andrew here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to a happy birthday celebration. And look who came to see. Guess whose birthday it is today? Faf, it's your birthday. Yeah, you're 5 years old. So, yeah, it's Faf's 5th birthday, unofficially, because we don't know when his birthday is. So I've told the story before, but that was a year ago and nobody wants to dig out year-old videos. So let's tell Faf's story. Faf came to me in September of 2024. He was in my yard mousing, and Motor and TK were freaking out that there was a cat in their yard. I mean, they don't go outside. They never go outside. I can leave the front door open and they won't go outside. But, oh my God, are they protective of that yard? So Faf is in my yard and he's mousing. So I see him and I go outside and, oh my God, he's just comes running to me. He is so affectionate right off the bat. And he's headbutting me and he's talking and purring. So I go back inside and I get some food and I get some water and I come out and I put him down and he's eating away and he's drinking the water and then he's back jumping on me for attention, purr, and everything like that. And okay, so that goes on for about a half an hour and then he goes back and he's mousing again and he catches a couple mice and he hops the fence and he's gone. Poof. Okay. Now, normally I would consider getting a cat like that, crating it and taking it in instantly for a microchip scan. But he was so affectionate that in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, this has to be somebody's cat. You don't get a stray cat this affectionate. Like just the other day, there was a cat in my yard. And I went outside and it stood at the other end of the yard looking at me. And I sat down and I put a handful of food out and it slowly inched its way to me. And it's got to me and it's carefully started eating, and then after a few minutes it let me slowly start to stroke the top of its head very gently, but it was very careful. And yeah, that's normal for a stray or feral cat, or even if they just say the hell with you and they run off. With Faf, he was like, boom, he was there, affection, purr, happy as could be. So I'm like, this has to be somebody's cat. They just let it outside. So I didn't think much of it. About 3-4 weeks later, Faf is back in my yard. Now the weather is starting to turn. It's now October. It's still fall, but the weather's starting to turn. And I open up the door to come outside and Faf tries to run into my house or into my townhouse. Okay, I stop him and I give him some more food and some more water and more attention. And then I get the crate, and this time I put him in the crate and I take him to the emergency vet because Lord forbid one of the local vets be open after 5 p.m. So drive out to Sherwood Park and take him to the emergency vet, and they do a scan for a microchip, and he had a microchip. Okay, I'm not surprised by this. Again, I am still of the conclusion that Faf is somebody's cat. And they inform me on the microchip his name is Biscuit, which I don't like the name, but it makes perfect sense because he is constantly making biscuits. So they try calling the number and the number's active, but no answer. So they leave a message and they're like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I guess I'll take him home with me and put him in the cat room. Because of course this was a long weekend too. So it's, I can't take him into the ACC on the Monday. I have to wait till the Tuesday. And this is a Friday. And they're like, okay, that's great. And they're like, we'll keep trying to contact this person to let them know that you have their cat. So, okay. So the weekend goes by and the vet contacts me and said, we've been calling twice a day and they're not returning the phone calls at all. I'm like, okay, well, long weekend, maybe they're gone, whatever. So Tuesday rolls around and I go to the ACC. For those that don't know what that stands, it's Animal Care and Control in Edmonton. And they walked me through the steps on posting on their site for a lost cat and everything. And they try calling the person now. And again, the line's active, but they're not calling back. And they've definitely gotten the messages by now. God, the other vet must have left 7 or 8 messages to them that we had their cat. So they're like, okay, well, by Edmonton bylaw, we have to post this for 10 days because he's microchipped. I'm like, okay. And at the end of the 10 days, you can either surrender him or you can adopt him. I'm like, okay. And I'm already starting to feel a connection to Faf. He's, like I said, he's super affectionate. So 10 days go by. The ACC, they're calling this person. They even dug into the registration and found that Faf was registered once. And I'll get to that, why it was only once. And these people have no interest in calling back. So 10 days go by and I adopt Faf legally. And during those 10 days, I kept him sequestered from my other two cats. So one, you always want to do the slow introduction. And the other thing is I didn't really want TK or Motor getting attached to him in case the other people did call and I had to give him up. So I kept him in the cat room and I kept the door open like this much so the paw could get out, but that was it. They could see each other, smell each other and everything, but they couldn't interact for 10 days. And during that 10 days, I noticed one of the reasons why he tried to run inside is right here on his head. He had a cat nail embedded in his head. Now, it wasn't from my cats because my cats are indoor and they haven't been interacting with them. So he had been in a fight outside, and proved even more of that, I'm showing you the picture now, is he had a bite right on his chest. And it was a pretty deep bite. I actually took him to the vet about this. And he had been licking and licking and licking all the fur off that I had to put him into this t-shirt over the holiday season so that he couldn't lick his fur and the wound, and he was on antibiotics for it and get it healing. So anyway, he became my cat and I let him out and, he took to TK instantly, and TK took to him. It's like TK, because Motor's starting to get a little bit, he's 8 years old now and, he's overweight and he's not the most active cat. And TK, he wants to play. So, Faf wanted to play. So every night these two are, to this day, every night these two are running around doing the zoomies through the house, just having a blast, jumping and everything. No fighting, nothing, and that was Faf. So getting back to why he was registered for one year. What I think happened, because he is now 5 years old. So that puts us at the end of the COVID pandemic. But we don't know his age. He could actually be 6. The vet gave me a range of 4 to 6 years old last year. So he could actually be turning 7 this year. I went with the low end range because, as you can see in the picture, he looks young. He acts young. So I went with the low end range. But they didn't know. And even on the registration, it didn't tell when his birthday was. So he very well could have been a COVID cat. And Faf likes to talk. He talks and he talks and he talks and he talks and he doesn't shut up. He is by far the most talkative cat I have ever seen in my 60 years of life. And I wouldn't have it any other way, just so I'm clear. He is such a social cat. But what I think happened is he got adopted as a kitten, he got microchipped as a kitten, he got registered as a kitten. And then at the end of COVID, he outgrew the kittenhood, but he didn't stop talking. And I think, and the vets agree with me on this, they think I may be correct on this. I think it drove the people nuts. So rather than surrender him back to the ACC or to a rescue, they just threw him outside and let him be outside for 3 years on his own before he found me. And my theory is he would do fine in the spring, the summer, and the fall. He's a great mouser. Like, make no mistake about it. This cat is very good outside. But in the wintertime, I think he would find somebody, a human, to take him in. And he'd go live in there. And then when spring hit, he'd run out of the house and he'd live outside for 3 years. And this was validated because he did get away from me last spring. And I thought I'd lost him. And a couple days later, I noticed on my neighbor's stoop, there he was stretched out on the stoop. And that's exactly what he had done, is he didn't know where he lived, my place. He knew the general area, but he didn't know exactly where. So he went to my neighbor and they let him in for a few days. And then he was out on the stoop. I saw him. I said, Faf. His head popped up. He ran over, jumped in my arms. I took him back in and he's been indoor ever since. But yeah, so he's a super affectionate cat. And I think that's what it was, is he would survive outside in the spring, the summer, and the fall. And then he'd find a human to let him in for the winter. And then he'd run outside and live in the spring, summer, and fall. He did this for 3 years until I found him. And then he still tried, as I said, he got away from me and he still tried to go outside. And it's like, no, you're coming back in. I've registered. You're my cat and you're an indoor cat now. And now a year after that, he still runs to the door, but he's no longer trying to zoom past you outside. So the instinct to be an outdoor cat is fading. And this year I'll be building a catio. And I think he'll be spending a lot of time in that catio once I have it built and set up, because he loves the outdoors, but he's starting to accept that he's an indoor cat. And, you know, he's fed, he's played with. Him and TK run around like nonstop. I play with them. You know, come bedtime, I come upstairs. There's Motor at the head of the bed. There's Faf at the foot of the bed. And there's TK waiting for me to lay down so he can pin my arm down. That's how we sleep. You know, it's like 3 cats take up pretty much most of my bed. I just sort of find a spot for myself. And yeah, so anyway, it is Faf's 5th birthday. Happy birthday, Faf. How I came up with his name. I am a fantasy book fan. Well, I'm a fantasy fan. I'm a little tired of fantasy right now. I'm sort of going more for science fiction right now just because fantasy, been doing it for so long. But one of my favorite settings is Lankmar. It's Sanctuary. It's the Grey Mouser. Fafner and the Grey Mouser. And yeah, it's one of my favorite books and favorite D&D settings and everything. So I'm thinking I like to find names that suit the cats. Like Motor, he purrs so loud, it's a Motor. TK, I got him during COVID, so I really didn't get to know his personality. And long story short is TK, you know how some cats will jump and run and jump and jump and jump when they're playing? TK goes to his belly and he stalks you. But stalk is clumsy, stalker is clumsy, so I shortened it down to TK, and as soon as I said it, that was his name. He took to it instantly. With Fafner, well, with Faf, I wanted to call him Fafner, but again, that doesn't really roll off the tongue. I still use it. It's like, you know, you have kids. You know, my name's Andrew, but for most of my life I was Andy, and everybody called me Andy except when I was in trouble. Then suddenly it was Andrew. You know, and it's the same thing with Faf. Is like I call him Faf all the time, except when he's doing something he's not to. Then it's Fafner, and yeah, it's Fafner and the Grey Mouser. And Fafner didn't really roll off the tongue, so I went with Faf. And just like TK, he took to it instantly. You know, the funny thing is his name was Biscuit, and when I found that out, I did actually try a few days of calling him Biscuit. Wouldn't respond to it at all. No connection to that name at all. I understood why they called him Biscuit, but no, there was no connection. He didn't acknowledge it. When I called him Faf, his ears perked up and he's like, yeah, that's my name. So anyway, that's the story. Faf is 5 years old. He's living his best life. He's having a ball. He's even letting me trim his nails now, which was a real adventure for the first year. And yeah, happy birthday, Faf. Many, many more to come. That's my video for this year. If you like this video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. Takes 1 second to subscribe, costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. If you're watching this on Rumble or Instagram, please follow my channels. Always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage everybody to leave a comment. You know, tell me your cat stories, your dog stories, your bunny stories, whatever. You know, let's have a conversation. The other reason is leaving a comment really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my YouTube channel. Simple as that. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye. Happy birthday, Faf.